commercial law and civil laws. She is a chevening scholar in international collaboration on cyber policy and an advisor to several government and private institutions on cyber law, legal reforms, and safeguarding children and online protection. She is a popular speaker and recipient of several awards recognizing her vocational excellence and work on women empowerment, such as DSCI NASSCOM Award on Cybersecurity, Innovative Leadership Award by the British High Commission, Women Empowerment at hand of the Governor of Maharashtra, and Vocational Excellence Award by Rotary International. Madam, please go ahead and deliver your lecture. Thank you.
I welcome ma'am on stage, and we are eagerly awaiting to hear through the advocate's tone.
Thank you very much for this invitation, and I thank the organizers for inviting me, though I have no clue why I'm here. I came a little early here, and I was listening to 2 research papers being presented, and then I also listened to Dr. Bhushan. And while I was listening to the research papers, I hardly could understand anything. And though I come from a family where we do have a few doctors in the family, but we also have a lot of lawyers in the family. So sometimes I feel, of course, there will be a crossover domain knowledge exchange here, and that is, I'm sure, why I've been asked to present this topic. But my entire talk on this subject is going from the legal side. It's going to be from the legal side, and I'm going to talk of statutory provisions which are applicable when we deal with adolescents and with issues that adolescents face either as victims or knowingly or unknowingly perpetuate a crime. So this is the sum total of what I'm going to talk about. The primary focus being on online harms, because that is my specialization, though we will be touching upon several types of harms that adolescents do face, but the entire focus is going to be online harms and the statutory provisions that go around with it. Now, coming to the topic directly, I was just looking at, since this is in a way not my subject, that when I say adolescent harms, other than online harms, do I really deal with adolescents as patients? No. Victims, yes, because that is where my job starts, when the case reaches the court. Either we are dealing with the police officers in terms of investigation, or I am either defending a victim, an accused in court who is an adolescent, or representing a victim who is an adolescent in court. So our job starts actually at the far end of the spectrum. When we are talking of prevention, prohibition, protection, those things are, those principles start at the beginning of the spectrum, while my job or my role in this entire gamut starts right in the end. And that is from where we have learned lessons on how to go back to ensure that we don't need to deal with adolescents at police stations, we don't need to face adolescents in courts, and we don't want adolescents to land up in courts either as victims or as perpetrators or offenders of any crime. Sometimes I feel I fall short when I deal with parents and adolescents when it comes to counseling. And I keep saying that is really not my job. And that is where your role becomes very crucial, because you are showing that empathy, you are showing support to the victims, sometimes even offenders, when it comes to dealing with a situation and a crisis situation. 10 years back, when this subject was being spoken, or say 10, 15 years back when this subject was being spoken, we still spoke about online harms and offline harms as if they were 2 different things. Now, if you look at what children do today on the net, most of the time they are connected. Why children? Even we. Most of the times we are connected. Though we are living in the physical world, our online presence is also 100%. So earlier the talk used to be 70% of offline space behavior and then 30% of online space behavior. I think the time has come to realize that right from the day the child is born, the child's online presence begins. And that is the time when we need to understand the safety of children online, the role of stakeholders dealing with children who are online, and stakeholders will include you and me, parents, teachers, academicians, police officers, counselors, and everybody else who are in contact with children, and not sometimes at the fag end when the child either has landed up in court, either as a victim or an offender. Because that is the time parents come to us and ask, what should we have done which was right so that we had not invited this situation on my child? And I always feel that this should have started right from you started clicking pictures of your baby and started putting those pictures online on either Facebook or Instagram. That is the time when safeguarding, prevention and protection starts. So with all these, the World Health Organization has classified all these risks, so different types of risks, and for today's presentation, we will deal only with the online harms. My tryst, in a way, with this subject started a few years back when I had an opportunity to work with the National Crime Agency of the UK. And they have a separate online safeguarding operations of protecting children online. And when we were in the discussions with the National Crime Agency and the COP, which is the Online Protection Wing, one of the very disturbing facts that came in front of us was that the amount of child trafficking that happens in countries like India is unimaginable. Because when we are talking of online harms, we are perhaps just talking a little bit about sexual harassment or grooming, or it could come to malicious emails, or violence or cyberbullying. Sometimes these are the topics that are also dealt with at school level. But a very serious impact of online harms is actually ending up in sexual exploitation of children who are being used in trafficking. And they are children like families from yours and mine, because everybody is now having access to the internet. And the study that was presented to us, and then we started a collaborative project between the National Crime Agency UK and India, was when pedophiles start looking for their victims for sexual harassment online. And India is on the tourist map of pedophiles, where the pedophiles will come looking for their victims in countries like India. And their first contact gets established online when these children are targeted either by a process of grooming, etc. So I have some classification of these harms which I have got for you here. Sexual exploitation of children, which forms the largest portion of the online harms that children are facing today. And sometimes sexual exploitation is again a spectrum. We're talking also of what we are calling as digital rape, which is the end of the spectrum, which also can get translated into physical or contact-based harm. Contact-based harm also, which will include severe forms of sexual assault or aggravated sexual assault or penetrative sexual assault, when the groomer or the perpetrator finally establishes contact with the child, which has been first contacted online by the perpetrator or the offender. Sexual abuse, sextortion, revenge porn, trolling, and there are a lot of other terminologies that are being used today, where sexual abuse forms as one of the major aspects of online harms. Let me give you one or two examples as to how we deal with such cases, and certainly what sort of cases are coming up. Very early in my career, I had a mother coming to my office, waiting right since morning before even the office opened up, with her another son, crying, saying that my son has been arrested and I want you to appear for his bail today. Those were the times when emails were being sent out from cyber cafes. Really, there was not a lot of access on apps and phone-based access. So it appeared that her son was arrested for sending emails which were threatening in nature to a certain girl within the city. I probed further and I asked what all had happened, and then he appeared for bail. There was police custody which was given to this boy who was arrested, who was a last year engineering student, and police custody and police remand was given despite of all the arguments that we did for 6 to 7 days of police remand was given to this very young boy. These are very sad cases to deal with because there's no, there is no feeling of right and wrong or success or being successful because they're the children who are getting affected in this. So when I was talking to the boy, I asked him what is it that had happened. So he said he had befriended this girl and he was trying to help her appear for different entrance exams in professional colleges. And eventually when he did profess his love for her, she declined and decided to carry on her life with some other boy. He said, I was so angry with her that I decided to take revenge, and that is the time he created several email IDs under anonymous names and started sending threatening emails to her. Those were the times of Orkut, some of you may remember, and he kept posting things on Orkut for her, and then he thought that because it was anonymous in nature, he will never get caught. And of course, we also have all the ideas about how the court systems work. Lawyers don't know their jobs, and judges don't know their work, so nothing will happen in the Indian legal system. But unfortunately, he was arrested. So when we were doing the investigation and the investigation report came before us, the realization was that though all the emails were anonymous in nature, there was one email which was sent from one cyber cafe which had a central server. And because of the police doing a raid on the central server, because it got traced to the central server, the cyber cafe got closed. And this boy, just out of curiosity, went and inquired to the watchman over there as to why it was closed. The watchman alerted the police that एक बंदा आके पूछ के गया है क्या हुआ है, and they rounded him up. And I mean, even you and me, even if a traffic cop asks us a few questions, we will generally give all the right answers, and we're quite scared of the uniform. So he did spell out all the information about all the fake email addresses that he had created and gave all the evidence to the police as to why he had done that. Eventually, we got him out, and but the trial went on for 3 years. And the kind of impact it has had on the child and the parent is very long term, including all his future employment prospects, etc. Now, something which was as simple as this did lead to very long-term ramifications, not only on the child, but also on the family. And somewhere that is the time I thought, see, there are two types. When you're dealing with younger children, it's a very protectionist attitude one can have, that you as a stakeholder wants to protect that child. But the moment the children grow up a little bit and become young adults, adolescents, or maybe after 10 years or 12 years, I think the awareness has to be in terms of empowerment so that they are ready to take reasoned decisions as how they want to operate online. Because you and me cannot be holding their hand all the time. And that is the time where I feel, as a system, there's a systemic failure